All right. So now let's start the afternoon session. And so you are going to give some introducing word. So thank you very much. And we'll have two talks from John Williamson and then Tyler coming back with a different subject. and then discussion and conclusion. Okay, thank you, Thomas.
Thank you, Rodolphe. So it's a great pleasure to be here. So the initiative of this all meeting was really from Christophe Tsuriot. So thank you very much, Christophe, for associating us with this initiative. And by us, I mean the philosophers of science and philosophers of biology who are around. Not so many of us, but we try to be quite active and show that it is important to do philosophy and medical studies and biology all together. So the very idea was to have the morning dedicated to the p-value and to the e-value now, I know, and have the morning dedicated to the question of causality. Of course, the two are very importantly associated, but our idea was that it would be very important in the afternoon to have a dialogue between a practitioner of science, in particular epidemiology, and a philosopher of science. So the Philin Biomed Institute that was mentioned this morning is in fact the Institute for Philosophy in Biology and Medicine, where we try to really put together philosophers and biologists and medical doctors to produce knowledge together. And we thought that today could be an example of that, of having this kind of very strong, intimate dialogue between science and philosophy. So the first speaker this afternoon will be John Williamson. He is a professor of reasoning, inference, and scientific method at the University of Kent in United Kingdom. His research deals with the philosophy of causality, which is exactly what we wanted for this afternoon, the foundations of probability, logics and reasoning, the use of causality, probability, and logic in artificial intelligence. He's the author of at least 4 books and 3 edited books, including 2 edited books with Federica Russo, who was at the University of Bordeaux recently, and also the author of many papers in leading philosophy journals. His probably most important books, I would say, are called Bayesian Nets and Causality, and In Defense of Objective Bayesianism. And as you've seen probably on the description, one of the ideas of John is that causality and probability are features of the way we represent the world and not features of the world as such. So this is already a very interesting philosophical statement to say that causality is much more epistemological than ontological, as we would say in philosophy. And you already heard this morning our second speaker of the afternoon, namely Taylor van der Velde. And you know that he's a professor of epidemiology in the departments of epidemiology and biostatistics at Harvard University. He's also, and maybe this is less well known, the co-director of the Initiative of Health, Religion, and Spirituality, also at Harvard, and the director of program of Integrative Knowledge and Human Flourishing. He has a very impressive series of degrees in mathematics, philosophy, theology, finance, biostatistics. So I don't know how you managed to have all these degrees, but I'm sure all the reflections that you gave this morning and you will give this afternoon will also be excellent evidence that all this knowledge is very useful to do the kind of research you do. And something that we thought with Christophe was especially interesting is the fact that Taylor is also to some extent a philosopher and uses some notions coming from philosophy. Maybe you don't know that counterfactuals, for example, were not invented in statistics 15 years ago, but an old notion of philosophy now imported in science in very useful way. And we thought it was very good to have a philosopher like John, who is often talking to biologists and medical doctors, and have someone like Taylor, who is very interested in philosophy and has written this book at Oxford University Press called Explanation in Causal Inference, which is, I would say, also a book in philosophy. So thank you very much to our 2 speakers. And John, it's now your turn.